of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. It is Martin Luther the King Day. Perhaps I'll share with you why I'm not really phased by that. Anyway. It's a long story, but I may get into that. I'm just kind of over. America is a victim. America is systemically racist. America still has these hills to climb over. When we've already accomplished them, God has already put people in place and has already done things where we live in a free nation, and I believe that all of us are equal under the law at this point in time. But listen, I mean, props to Martin Luther King Jr. I know that God used him for certain things despite his flaws. Having said that, I'm just not a big advocate of Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, and it's not a diss to him. It's just a I know what lefties try to do with this holiday, and it just kind of annoys me. But having said that, I want to bring on my guests. You guys, honestly, it's been a long time since RC has been on the program, and RC has always been big time, but he is growing, and his ministry is growing really fast. I'm going to encourage you guys to check out his Substack, Sherlock.substack.com. And oftentimes, RC would come on and he would talk about everything from investment to crypto to you name it. But God has really placed something in his heart where he is doing the ministry, Watchman, and make sure you give us the full name and title here, RC. But he does the Watchman ministry, Watchman Action, and the guy's just going around in the name of Jesus, if you will, and taking on the left and emboldening and empowering and informing the church, if you will, to fight back against the left. Because it's funny, the church wants to kind of stay out of the fight with the left. Oh, we're Christians, we can't get involved in that. Yet the left uses politics in order to hurt the church. And quite frankly, we kind of saw some of that over in Minneapolis over the weekend, which we'll get into a little later. But first, I got to get into this article. RC, welcome to the show. That was a long introduction. I didn't mean to go that long, RC. But anyway.
Carl, it has been too long, brother. Thank you for having me back, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. RC, real quick, just give people where they can find you, because they're going to want to find you after this podcast, because honestly, they always do. You always do great on the show.
Thank you, Carl. So people can find everything Juliana and I at watchmanaction.org. It's plural. So watchmenaction.org. They can find the link to our Substack, Rip from the Headlines, and also We Are the Watchmen Weekly, which connects the dots between current events and scripture. And Carl, you'll be excited to know, since we saw you last, we have added a calendar to the site, because people always ask us where we've been, where we're going, what's going on. So that is now on the site as well at watchmanaction.org.
Okay, and I just got to say this. Every time RC comes on, I feel like a complete and utter slacker. All right, so I'm going to have to, after the show is over, I'm going to have to get with RC to kick me in gear here. But anyway, RC, listen, you sent me this Substack or column, if you will, of yours. And again, I'm encouraging all of you guys to go to his Substack. It is sherlock.substack.com. There's no K on Sherlock, so SHERLOC. Surveillance state came to the grocery store. And guys, we're going to be talking about Minneapolis. We're going to be talking about Iran, or at least I am, later in the program. But I thought this was really important because, frankly, we see a lot of the things that are transpiring both in Minneapolis, quite frankly, Minnesota at large, also in the Middle East and Iran. And I feel like a lot of people are trying to are just kind of disregarding how all of these things, in my opinion, are connected some way, somehow. And for me, this hit at this article, the surveillance state came to the grocery store. When RC sent me this, I was like, what? Okay, what is this about? And so anyway, I read the thing, and then I was just like, it was so well written. And he just does a quick synopsis, and I'm taking a little too much time to explain it here, but it's going to be fascinating, and I want you guys to pay attention, because I don't want us to lose our freedom. It starts with losing little freedoms like this that we're going to get into, that we ignore. And people wonder how Venezuela could become Venezuela. People wonder how Iran could become Iran. And I think this article, in my opinion, hits it on a micro level. So let's get into it. R.C. Williams. I almost called you R.C. Sproles, R.C.
It would have been an honor if you would have made the mistake. I would have totally taken it and kept on rolling. So,
Oh,
so Carl, you in particular, you were so far ahead of the curve on this when we were writing back in 2022 and 2023. You had us on. We talked about Silicon Valley Bank. We've been down the road with all of these things, and the consistency throughout all of those, and leading up to the story that we did on their surveillance state coming to the grocery store, is what you just said. Your freedoms are eroded a little bit at a time, and then you're presented distractions or false choices, so to speak. And one of the things that we've said leading up to and even after election day in 2024 is you have to be very careful, because what they will try to do to you is deliver your technocracy in a red dress instead of a blue dress so that you'll accept the programming, stealing a line from the Matrix. So here's what we discovered that was going on in the Northeast. Wegmans grocery stores, pretty fancy looking, by the way. If you haven't been to one and you're in the Northeast, you should certainly go to one that doesn't have a sign on the door that says they're using biometric surveillance. Here's the deal. Late last year, Wegmans put a sign up on the door in one of their New York locations that said, "We are scanning our employees' faces using biometrics for safety and security," and all the things that they generally lie to you about. Okay. Keep that in mind for a second, because if you fast forward to earlier this month, Wegmans put a sign on the door that told everyone, customers, everyone, that, hey, we're using biometric scans for whatever reason. Okay. So here's the deal, Carl. What happened in the state of New York is they passed a law that said private businesses could use biometric surveillance, and the only requirement was that they told you it was in use. Now, Carl, I want you to think about that for a second, because you know how sneaky these things are. It isn't necessarily what they said, it's what they didn't say that stuck out. The New York law does not require businesses to tell you what they're going to do with the data, nor do they have to tell you how and when they're going to secure it. So guy walks in the grocery store. Hey, I see this biometric sign. Am I stealing something? Am I accused of something? Carl, this struck us as odd. Now, folks who've watched your show over the years and have heard us come on and talk about how your mobile device, for instance, is the ultimate homing beacon, and how data gets layered. In our business, Sherlock, we deal with behavioral marketing. We look at millions of data points a day to figure out who's going to buy things, right? Where it gets dangerous is when it's used for nefarious purposes. So in part, here is what's going on. The use of biometrics, really the door was open for that years ago when the Patriot Act was passed. Always remember that when a law comes up or a bill comes up and it has a name, it generally means the opposite. The Patriot Act, in particular, Section 702, allowed for surveillance, warrantless surveillance, for any reason deemed necessary by the US government. That basically means they've had a backdoor to your entire life, whether it's your Amazon Ring camera or now with Flock AI tracking your license plates. The feds pretty much have backdoor access to everything that you do. So for the longest time, grocery stores have actually used cameras on the shelves. So when Carl goes in the store to go shop, they're watching his activity. They're watching his eyes. They're trying to understand his facial expressions, because they're trying to figure out ultimately what triggers him to buy and what the right price point would be. So this has been going on for years, and they've been collecting this data. The biometrics kind of brings it to a different level. Now, the reason I say that and where this ties in is that a couple of months ago, Instacart got caught doing what is called surveillance pricing. So
yes,
which
I
is
heard about
actually,
that. That's right.
right? A quite liberal group actually got a group of 20 strangers together in a room, had not met each other, pulled their devices out, had them all go on Instacart, and 18 out of the 20 got different pricing at the same store. When they layer your data and they can figure out your behavior and what triggers you, they will adjust the pricing to maximize the value. Carl, that at best is immoral, amongst other things. It's just kind of weird. But what they really want to do is dynamic pricing in the grocery store. I'll quickly explain. What they want to do is those little price tags that you see in the store, they want to turn those into digital price tags. And depending on who walks by, what time of day it is, and the data that they have on you, they want to be able to adjust the prices to not only maximize value, but to drive you to buy. So if RC walks by, and RC loves ice cream, honestly, I do, and they know based on all my movement and my habits that I may be agitated or angry, well, now here we go to vices. they're going to jack that price where when Carl walks by, doesn't like ice cream so much, they can dynamically drop it just in case. Carl, the biometrics and your facial expressions, you give off millions of facial expressions that you can't see with a human eye, all give me indicators as to what you may or may not do next. And if I can predict your behavior and I've got your biometrics and I'm watching you from the shelf, then dynamic pricing starts to make a whole lot of sense. So the story on Wegmans tied that all together with what's happening and the fact that the Patriot Act allowed this to happen. You get Palantir, which is Peter Thiel and mass surveillance, combined with Flock AI, and now the surveillance grid, another gate in essence, locks around you, and they're just trying to close that door, and that's the final nail in the coffin.
Okay, I'm speaking to R.C. Williams. Check out his Substack, Sherlock.substack.com. Are you being spied upon in your grocery store, basically? And guys, this is so important. I'm gonna once we come back from the break, I want to ask R.C. several questions related to the column that he's written because this is extremely dangerous. This is going to go beyond corporations. I'm concerned about what the government might be doing on the back end or how the corporations may be working with big government, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk to RC about that once we get back. You're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Hello, everyone. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. You can like, subscribe, and share. That would help us out tremendously. Do the same for RC. RC, where can people go to find you?
All things Watchman Action, Carl, are at Watchman Action. It's plural, watchmenaction.org. They can find the Substacks. They can find all of our social media handles. Everything is Watchman Action. So YouTube, Twitter, doesn't matter. It's all at Watchman Action. Quickest way to find us. Please like and subscribe to all of our stuff too. Our podcast, The Watchman Brief, covers a lot of this stuff. We connect the dots between current events and scripture. Carl, and just as an aside, by the way, there's a great article up this week in an interview that I did at AmFest last month with Lyric Gillette of Faces of Choice. She deals with survivors of abortion. And she had a commercial set up for the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They denied her at the last minute. And the title of the interview is Delayed, Not Denied, because the World Cup came to her and said, there is a slot for you. And she's doing this massive fundraise because then she'll be across 104 games when the World Cup happens next year. It was a blessing to talk to her.
You got to send me that link, RC. I'd love to make a donation to that. Yeah. I mean, I don't have your money. But I'd love to.
But I'd love She's a great lady, man. Lyric is such a great young lady.
Oh, we got to have her on. You got to connect us. You got to connect us. That is absolutely amazing. I love that. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh, I did it.
All right. Love this message from the Watchman. Thank you, RC. Hey, I know that person. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being out there. Again, please subscribe to the Carl Jackson Show. Like, share, and subscribe. We would certainly appreciate that. All things social media at Carl Jackson Show or at the Carl Jackson Show. X, Instagram, and Facebook. I've been slacking on TikTok, RC, but I think I'm going to go ahead and bite the dust and do that. But for right now, X, Instagram, and Facebook at Carl Jackson Show or at the Carl Jackson Show. You'll find me there. All right. Gabe, I'm ready when you are. Let's get back into this. I got plenty of questions that I want to ask Mr. R.C. Williams. Yes, sir. All right, welcome back to the program. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Again, I'm joined with my guest here, R.C. Williams of WatchmanAction.org, WatchmanAction.org. And R.C., again, just going back through this Substack that you wrote. And sometimes, RC, I asked him, I was like, did you write this? Not because I didn't suspect that he didn't write it, but sometimes in his packages that you can have sent right to you online, right into your email, there'll be, different stories, different columns, so on, etc. But the way that it was written, it kind of sounded like RC, to be honest, but it was just so well written and clever because I think it's so smart. Because we have to think about what government is doing at a micro level, and then we could kind of see what'll happen at a larger scale, whether that's Venezuela, whether it's Iran. I can't stand that people are ignoring Iran. Oh, we have no business being there, so on, etc. That's a story for another day. I'm just ranting a little bit here, RC. But honestly, I believe Russia, China, Iran, And they're in bed with Venezuela. They're in bed with some of these countries and the Western Hemisphere, all working to undermine the United States of America. So I believe that President Trump is taking the right actions there. I also agree with Greenland. I wish President Trump would handle the tactics differently. I know, Carl, this is how he negotiates. Well, you don't always have to negotiate the same way. Some people react differently. But I think we need Greenland. I think it's instrumental. So I love that he's going after it. I just wish the tactics were a little different. RC may disagree with me on that, but nonetheless, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this column here, RC, because again, I just think it's so important. So just to a quick synopsis here. A Wegmans grocery store I've never been, but apparently they're in the Northeast. We're speaking of one that's particularly in Manhattan, or this is the one that RC wrote about. And literally, they are gathering your information, your faces, your eyes, your voices. And you heard RC talk about earlier how was it Instacart, RC?
Yes.
Okay, so Instacart literally took information, 18, 20 people, something to that effect, and they're in different, levels of life when it comes to their socioeconomic status. And so Instacart decided to charge them differently. Now, so you may look at this just from a corporation standpoint, but I don't think it's that. RC, let me take you back to you mentioned 9/11. I feel like we really so you're talking about you walk into a store, they're capturing your data, faces, eyes, voices. They want to know your shopping habits, but RC, the local government allowed the stores to do this. I would suspect the local government, the little commies inside of New York City with Ma'am Danny there and all these kind of people. I'm sure this happened before Ma'am Danny, but nonetheless, it did actually based upon your column. But nonetheless, it's like, wait a minute. This isn't it, if they're allowing the corporations to do that, it isn't going to stop with the corporations. Eventually, government, for whatever reason, is going to request this data. And now I'm concerned with Ma'am Danny running New York City. Perhaps he'll ask for some of this data. God knows. This is extremely dangerous. Also, RC, you mentioned 9/11. Going back to 9/11, I was one of those idiots. 9/11, and honestly, this is 2020 hindsight. So I believe there's a lot of useful idiots out there like me at the time. 9/11 happens. We obviously want the terrorists dead. We had never experienced anything like that in our lifetimes, and so we're like, do whatever you got to do in order to get these terrorists. And lo and behold, the federal government ends up eventually using those same laws or regulations or whatever to spy on American people. So RC, kind of, I know I just said a lot of stuff there, but kind of make sense of that. The fact that, so these corporations are taking advantage of this stuff and taking our information or taking the information in Wegmans, shoppers at Wegmans. But this is obviously coming to a city near you if the left can have their way. But also, I'm more concerned that the government would say, hey, yeah, this is okay.
Yeah, Carl. So let me break this up into three chunks because I think all three are really important for people to understand. Context is everything, right? Because technology is just a blob, data is just a blob until you have context. So let's take the first part. I really want people to understand how much information you give away with your mobile device. I've told you this off the air, Carl. I think I've said this on the air too. I don't even need to know your name. All I need is your device ID and about 15 data points from that device, and I can pretty much predict what you're going to do next. Now, if I can do that, I can also influence your behavior. Here's where it gets even stranger, though, Carl. That mobile device, it's a homing beacon, right? You use your maps, use all these things. When you did the terms and conditions when you got your phone, one of those terms and conditions was you gave the phone permission to share data between apps, which is why things follow you and you can't figure out why. So keep that one in your hat for just a second. But there's even more, Carl, if you can believe this. That mobile device also detects the amount of pressure that you put on it. So you see where this is going. They begin to understand when you're happy, you're sad, you're angry, right?
Wow.
One of the reasons that we've told people, if you have an Amazon Alexa or a Google Nest or whatever in your house, go throw it in the pit of hell and let it burn with fire. Because your mobile device, and I've got mine right here, I have a brick too. Okay. So these things are antiquated. And at first, what they wanted to do is get a computer chip back here. They wanted to chip you so that you didn't even have to say what you wanted or type it. You could just think it. That's a little creepy. People don't want to do that. So they said, well, let us
Wow.
use contact lenses. And people are like, I don't want your stuff on my eye like that. So they settled on glasses. And now, Carl, the next round of Google Glasses and Snapchat, like they've done these glasses, right? They look pretty good. They look pretty normal. If you weren't looking for a camera, you probably wouldn't know they had one. Well, think about it for a second. You can't type to a pair of glasses, Carl. The only thing you can do is talk to it. In order to understand the tone, temperature, and texture of your voice, and to determine whether or not you're happy, sad, or otherwise, they've got to have a giant data set to pull from. How do you get it? Well, you make people pay for the convenience of using Amazon Alexa or Siri or Google Nest or whatever it may be, because all you're doing all day is talking to it. And even when you're not talking to it, it's still listening and waiting on detection. So it's always going to pick up tone and temperature and texture in your home.
Wow.
Congratulations on your giant thought experiment and providing the data needed to get you off of a phone and onto those glasses. Hang on to that one for a second. So all of this data now, and when they can understand your mood and where you're at in a given day, they start to build a profile on you to figure out socioeconomic, psychographic, and then start to understand your moods and habits when you have triggers for vices and all of these things like that. All of that data is compiled to build an advertising profile on you. If I know that at 3 p.m. every afternoon when Carl's driving in traffic, he hates it in Central Florida, and I know he drives by the same store that he's frequented in the past, it's probably a good time for me to drop a special deal, either via text message or on Google Maps, to get him to go into that store, because I know his propensity to spend more money is higher because he's under stress. I want the audience to clearly understand why the thing with Wegmans is so bad. It's an additional step that allows the Instacarts of the world, because Instacart, they're filthy money pigs too. All of these guys are. Just end of the day. I'm just going to say what it is, right? It's convenient, but there's always a cost for convenience. They take all of that data to determine how much they can extract from you and to determine what they will actually sell you. True story, Carl, and I'll move on to the second bucket. We were down in Naples last week and we had 2 speaking engagements scaring people to death on AI. Okay, which is what we normally do, kind of like on the show. We used Instacart to order sandwiches from Publix. It was a Sunday evening. We'd worked and talked all day. And you know what? Normally, when I'm here around the house and I order from Publix, I can get a sandwich from the deli, no problem. Do you know, Carl, that the one down there, based on where I was at and what I wanted to do, would only give me a locked selection? I could not customize a sandwich. But when I came back home, I had no problem doing it. Again, please understand that they maximize every dollar. So that is bucket number one. Please understand
Wow.
how and what they do with you. The second one, you talked about private businesses, but Carl, it's much more nefarious than that. The government has always been involved. The reason that Palantir exists, and Whitney Webb is a great resource on this, by the way. I did not originate this, but I went to synthesize the information. Palantir, as you know it today, started as a government program called Total Information Awareness. The goal was to build a surveillance grid on every American to track behavior, monitor all this stuff. Obviously, you're not going to let the government do that to you, so they do what all good governments do. They privatized it into a business that Peter Thiel and his partners picked up. That is Palantir today. Palantir's biggest clients, especially in the first 5 years, all government agencies. So they provide data and surveillance to all government agencies. As a matter of fact, they announced today that they're going to do that with the ICE rates. Now, regardless of where you fall on the issue, that's not the issue. Are these things wrong? Absolutely. What you don't want is a surveillance state tool used in that way. So government pushed this. And Carl, what's happening is they're incentivizing private businesses to get engaged because there is so much money. How does this door get open?
Oh,
That's the
man.
third bucket. The Patriot Act, in particular, Section 702, which for some reason seems to continue to get funded, basically allows the US government to surveil you warrantlessly when they think there
I,
might be an issue. Scary combination, Carl.
yeah, guys, I know this is we don't talk about this type of stuff much. It is still well and alive. This is actually what the Trump administration is dealing with. There's so much stuff that they'd like to get done, and it's impossible to get done, or virtually impossible, because there still is a deep state. That's why you'll often hear me arrest these people, I mean, there's so much that needs to be done because this government is just way too bloated. RC, can you stick with me for one more segment? I want to
Yes,
talk
sir.
about the World Economic Forum as well. All right,
Yes.
we'll be right back. You're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Hello,
Yeah, there's a
everybody.
lot to get in there.
Oh man, I know. And honestly, it just flies by. They have me recording these. Oh, but a lot of people, for the people that are live, I have to record in these shorter segments, and oh man, I struggle with them. I'm not gonna lie, because I could go forever. So I've got to learn to shut up and then do my bit and then go on. Hey, everybody, let me talk to you about My Pillow. Last year was a pretty hard year for My Pillow. And but it's because of loyal listeners like you that they're still standing strong. So to show their appreciation, they're still offering their Christmas savings that are exclusive for my listeners. Right now, you can get the Children's Bible Story Pillow 5-pack for just $29.98. My slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98, and a variety of blankets, comforters, and duvets starting as low as $25. Plus, there's a major blowout deal on the standard My Pillow that's now only $14.98. Visit mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. Use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. That's C-A-R-L. I don't spell it like the communists, to unlock all these wholesale prices. That includes the standard My Pillow, originally $49.98, now just $14.98. Queen sizes marked down to $18.99, and the king sizes are just $1 more. You already know My Pillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but they've just announced an incredible update. Their 60-day money-back guarantee. Has been extended. Now, this was going right before Christmas, guys. So orders placed between then, all right, Christmas, will have their guarantee extended all the way through March 1st. So go online, mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. You got Valentine's Day coming up. Birthdays are coming up. Great shopping at mypillow.com. All right. I is ready to get back to this with Mr. R.C. Williams. R.C., I don't know if you knew this, but I didn't know how to pronounce duvets until about 6 months ago.
I did not know that. You know what I used to have a problem with on the radio is apothecary. I could never get it right.
Oh, honestly, man, the chick with the apothecary podcast, I would see that and I would be like, I got it now because I've heard it so many times, but I was like, what?
Apothecary?
I had to look it up. I'm not going to lie, but she does a phenomenal job. I forget her name, but she does a phenomenal job. Okay. You know what? Okay, so let's Gabe, if we could, and welcome to all of you listening, please like, share, and subscribe our podcast, The Carl Jackson Show, wherever you go to get your podcast. You can find all of RC's work at watchmanaction.org. Watchmanaction.org. All right. Yeah, he's sporting the t-shirt. I love that t-shirt, by the way. Watchmanaction.org. I'm going to see if I can convince RC to give me one, but who knows? Who knows with RC?
Of course. Come on.
You see,
Carl.
you see what I did, guys? You do that on camera, it makes it harder for them to say no. Now, after we get off camera, RC is probably going to give me the bird. But right now, no, I'm just kidding. No, he won't. No, he won't. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. But anyway, check out his work, watchmanaction.org. He and his wife, Juliana, they do a great job. They're phenomenal. Honestly, RC, I met you. I can't even remember when I met you at an event. I remember it was a Republican event.
Yeah.
And we spoke briefly. And then I spoke to you. I can't even remember about what, but you blew me away just speaking to you right then. I was like, holy crap, I got to get this guy on. And he's definitely an asset on the ride. He and his wife. So I appreciate you guys. All right, Gabe, I am ready whenever you are. Gabe is always ready. Huh? Oh, yes. Thank you. Can we start with okay, actually 14, 15, and 16 are the videos that I want to go to and get RC's take on them as well. With this Mark Carney guy in Canada, I mean, just boldly stating, I'm sure you're already aware of this, RC, just straight up, this guy wants to be a part of this new world order. He was a part of it, is a part of it. Essentially, he was with the World Economic Forum. And people have to understand what's going on. It almost sounds crazy. to talk about this stuff, but it's not crazy. There are legitimate people out there that believe the craziest crap and want to control people. And so that's why you listen to shows like this, and that's why you follow
Mhm.
people like myself and RC Williams. All right, let's go ahead and hit it, Gabe. Let's start with cut number 14, if we could. Just let's just start with it right from the get go, if you would. 14, for favor.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg News. Yesterday, when you met with Premier Lee, one of the things you said in the public remarks was this partnership, Canada and China, this new partnership sets us up well for the new world order. What did you mean by that? What is the new world order?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, because I think the world is still determining what that order is going to be. And let's be clear what we're talking about first and foremost, which is what are the trading, what is going to govern global trade? What is the role of the WTO going to be? How important are bilateral deals such as the one we're developing, plurilateral deals, if I can use that term, Trans-Pacific Partnership, potential linkages between Trans-Pacific Partnership and the EU? Where is financial regulation, payment system regulation going to fit into that? All of these aspects, I use fancy words like the architecture, the multilateral system that has been developing these is being eroded, to use a polite term, undercut, use another term. So the question is, what gets built in that place? How much of a patchwork is it? How much is it just on a bilateral basis? Or where do like-minded countries in certain areas? So like-minded countries, just to be clear, doesn't mean you agree on everything. Aspects, for example, on digital trade or agricultural trade, climate finance as another area, to move into areas of geostrategy, geosecurity. You will have different coalitions that are formed. So what this partnership does is in areas, for example, of clean energy, conventional energy, agriculture, as we were just talking about, and financial services, which we've talked less about, but the evolution of the global financial system, the role of the renminbi over time, the evolution of cross-border payments. I know it all sounds very dry, except for your organization, which I think takes an interest in it.
Okay, let's cut that there. That one's a pretty lengthy. We have a couple more that I want to show you, but that one was a little lengthier than I thought. RC, this is okay. So let me. For all of you listening, if you're not familiar with the World Economic Forum, you can go to their website. These people are crazy. These people literally want to rule the world. I mean, they literally do, and they put it out there. And it's weird because it's almost, you have to wonder, like, you start talking about this stuff and you sound crazy, but you're not crazy. They're crazy. And what these people like Mark Carney, and I want to get RC's take on this, what Trump is doing is disrupting the world order, and it scares the crud out of them. Trump is a nationalist in a good way. America first, the Western Hemisphere. I love the way he's trying to realign the Western Hemisphere according to the Dunroe, the Dunroe Doctrine, as he's calling it. Trump will go down as one of the best foreign policy presidents ever. You may not like him. There's some things that I disagree with him on. He will go down as one of the best foreign policy presidents, just like I think Reagan was as well. RC, this is the stuff that he was saying: clean energy, agriculture, how we do financing. Is this guy concerned that it's like this guy doesn't want to be a part of the Western Hemisphere? He's so hell-bent on this, and he sounds just nice and calm. He's talking about some pretty crazy stuff. This guy wants to align with the Communist Party of China.
So, Carl, before I'm going to come back to Carney, but quickly, I want to set the stage for people as to how you got here and why you're hearing the words New World Order. Now, the WEF, which isn't the same anymore without Uncle Klaus. He's all done.
That's true.
Right? Uncle Klaus is no longer there. Those guys are in session, right? They started today. But I want to take a couple of steps back. You got to go back to the early 90s and Bush Sr. when he was in office, because there's an avowed globalist for you. right, on camera talking about
Yeah.
we're going to have a new world order. He's in Brazil in 1992 with really kind of the setting the foundation for where we ended up today. And I encourage people to go back and watch Bush's speech where he references the new world order, because when he says the words, the most demonic twinkle I've ever seen in someone's eye pops up. So let me fast forward. What's going on with Mark Carney? Well, to understand Carney, you've got to understand China and the 2049 plan. For those who have watched the show before and have seen me on, I have talked about China's 100-year plan. You can look up China 2049 or China's 100-year plan right now on the internet. The NSA search engine will still allow you to find it. I encourage you to read it, because what you're seeing is exactly what the Chinese said they were going to do. So, Carl, here's my concern, and we could talk Trump's foreign policy all day. I think that there are some problems and landmines there that he's got blind spots that he can't see, and some of those are within his own house, which is something he's got to clean up. But words matter, because when Marco Rubio came out months back and said, you're now living in a unipolar order, where it's going to be the United States, China, and Russia kind of in between. When people say those things, you need to take them literally. So here's what's happening. China is exerting its influence, because what it's done, and this is where I think the foot race is, Carl, and this is one of the reasons I think Trump is the right guy to have in office right now, is the Chinese have so fundamentally weakened the United States in so many areas, including us, because it's death by 1,000 cuts. They've poisoned us. They've imported all of this stuff. Casey Fleming, who is a black ops specialist, has a book coming out called The Red Tsunami, and I encourage people to read it. We've interviewed him twice in the last 3 weeks. He talks about this. They've got us with fentanyl. They've got us with social media. They've got us with all these things, Carl. The reason that Carney is saying that is because he's trying to make sure that he's hedging, so he's at least got a good chance to be on the right side of this, because the bet that he's making is he can exert enough pressure on the United States by partnering with China, given their geographic position, to get Trump to step back from Greenland and some of the other things that he's trying to do with the Northern Hemisphere. So the battle goes beyond just the WEF. I mean, they're the players in the game, and they're doing their job. But these guys are now starting to jockey for position. And Carl, I even hate to say this, but there's some truth to it. War is coming. War's been here. Whether it's that's not the way we're used to, but actual war is coming. This isn't going to end without some type of conflict.
Yeah, listen. I'm afraid you're right. I mean, I do think there's Trump is disrupting. He is disrupting the globe, and I just don't feel like these people are going to go down easy. But I feel like what he's doing is completely necessary, and it's honestly, it's not without consequence. But let's just pray for a better day. I think that will come. I want to get back to your column again. R.C. Williams at watchmen.action.org, watchmen.action.org, and just stress how important it is picking up the little stuff like literally, R.C. started off the column, which is why I want you guys to read it, because it's like walking. If you're a 2A, if you carry, like I carry, basically wherever I go, I carry. And so I'll look on doors. Can you carry in here, or not? I won't tell you what I do, but can you? But there's some stores that'll say, guns not permitted or whatever, and so on, et cetera. Private business, they have a right to do that. I think it's silly, but they have a right to do that, because criminals will never obey those signs. But this store was literally saying, hey, we're going to capture your face. We're going to face recognition, eye recognition, voice recognition. And it's just posted on the door as you walk in. The vast majority of people are never going to pay attention to that. So just by walking into this store, you give them permission to start collecting your data. The government gave them the ability to or the go ahead, or allowed them to go ahead and do that. Why, RC? Why would New York City allow these corporations, allow Wegmans to do that? Let me just ask a rhetorical question. I just want to see, I just want to hear you talk about it.
So Carl, there is an old saying in politics that it's really two wings of the same bird, right? You're getting political theater to a certain degree, and there are no distinct friends, enemies, heroes, or villains in the game. They're all kind of mashed up in a soup, so to speak.
True.
How does this happen? Right? Because at the end of the day, as the old folks used to tell us, because you grew up in LA, I grew up in San Francisco. Back in the day, the old folks used to say, it's all about the money, honey. And really, Carl, that's what this is all about. Government is fine with incentivizing private businesses to do things under the guise of security or safety, and will give them money and help them out to do it. And politicians will look at that and say, man, if I'm going to get this much in federal money or private money from a group like a Palantir or a Flock AI, if you don't know what Flock is, as you read the article, we lay out the case for you as to why these things are inherently dangerous. They put up big money for that with the help of synthesizing data so they can do a better job. But ultimately, when that much money is floating around, Carl, and that much power is floating around, think about it for a second. If you're a New York schlep politician and you have an opportunity to do something like this, and the promise is that you can end up in state Senate or even the U.S. Senate or in Congress or whatever the case may be, or end up being some type of business tycoon, you're like, well, really, who's it going to hurt anyway? And I'm on the winning team. Kind of like Mark Carney, right? As long as I win, and my family's safe, that's all that matters. Yeah, they kill you first, just as an aside.
Exactly.
So it's all about the money, Carl. These things are incentivized by money and by power, and New York is no different. That's why I said when they make these laws, when the name, whatever the name is, think of the opposite, okay? And then understand it's not what they say, it's what they don't say. And if we're not vigilant about that, Carl, they're going to continue to erode. They're going to continue to erode, and they're doing it in bigger chunks now because they figure, okay, people are already in. They don't care. They just want it to stop.
This is going to be the warmth of collectivism coming to your grocery stores. Guys, you're an individual created in the image of God. Never forget that. That's what the left wants you to do. Thank you, R.C. Williams. Really appreciate you joining us. Stay on for a minute. Make sure we have you up. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to the Carl Jackson Show. We're going to get onto more topics, but I was so glad that RC could join us. Gabe, let RC know when he's up. Again, continue to follow RC at WatchmanAction.org, WatchmanAction.org, WatchmanAction.org. We got you, RC. You are up. Thank you so much, man. I'm going to say it one more time on camera. I got to give me one of those T-shirts, RC. That's how you put the pressure on, guys.
Text me your size so we can get you a shirt.
Love it. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
No problem, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Later.
All right. So that was R.C. Williams, WatchmanAction.org. He does phenomenal work. I mean, honestly, he's basically, I started out writing during HolySlant.com for those of you that are watching live, and it was just political analysis with a biblical worldview. RC and his wife kind of puts the feet to that, if you will. And obviously with the death of Charlie Kirk, he was already doing that and working with Turning Point in different ways and so on, etc. But they've gone on to do more things where it's basically political analysis with a biblical worldview, but he has a tech background. So he brings in a lot of that into it. It's very smart when it comes to tech. So it's pretty phenomenal how God has been able to use him. He comes from the Silicon Valley area. So anyway, that is that. All right, Gabe. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. All things social media. Again, at Carl Jackson Show, at the Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. I'm just going to look through these videos real quick, if you guys don't mind. Actually, I'll be ready to go because I want to talk about what's happening at this. I want to talk about what's happening at this church. What happened in Minnesota? Don Lemon has got himself in a buttload of trouble, and I hope that there's a reckoning coming. All right, having said that, let's go ahead and, you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and just get started here, Gabe. I got some videos that I'll throw out. Actually, let's start with cut number 11. Can we come back in with cut number 11? I can't hear you for some reason, Gabe. Okay.
We're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, they're not. No, we're press. We're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane. That's what we're doing. My warrant's not for you. My warrant is not for you. I don't have this warrant.
Get a real warrant. Okay, so that is an ICE agent. I've heard reports that he's Latino. He actually looks like he's an islander of some sort. If I'm just looking at his eyes, but I don't know. He may be Latino. Regardless, that's a. He sounded Latino to you. Okay, all right. So it's irrelevant, but again, I guess it is relevant given the fact that he's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and you heard the man. This is what people aren't telling you. This is what the left isn't telling you. This is what the media isn't telling you. The people that ICE is arresting, and I got to be frank, I don't think the Trump administration is doing an effective job doing the same thing. They're starting to get better at it, but the longer this mess goes on, thank God the left has just shot themselves in the foot this weekend. So we'll talk about this. But you've either got to get this stuff under control. If Trump is going to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis, he doesn't need to talk about it. He doesn't need to make mention of it. He needs to do it, and he needs to do it with a swiftness. Because this does, I know this isn't just about politics, but let's be honest, this is a political show. This is politics. Trump is a politician. The left is, and these protesters, this is all politics. A lot of this is political theater. A lot of this stuff is organized. There are a lot of useful idiots too. I'm sorry Renee Good died, but I'm just shooting straight with you. She was a useful idiot of the left. Not saying that she was an idiot per se, but she had been brainwashed and bought into the nonsense of the left. The ICE agent put it bluntly. He was there and his partner were there to arrest a child sex offender. Guys, last week, I spoke of some of the unspeakable, even though I spoke about them, the unspeakable or unthinkable, I should say, crimes that some of these people were committing on children, the vast majority of them. I mean, you're talking about sodomy on little boys, sodomy on little girls. This is who this is who Renee Good was protesting. They're trying to make her a George Floyd. They're trying to make her a hero. It's not working because she's a white lesbian, or she was a white lesbian. So it's not working. But nonetheless, they're trying to make her a hero. They're trying to say she wasn't doing anything but protesting. No, she was doing a lot more than protesting. No one has the legal right to interfere in a law enforcement, interfere with law enforcement. You can't go just block a road. You can't go stop an officer from arresting somebody, or as they call it, with the group Renee Good was associated with, the ICE Watch of Minnesota, de-arrest. So meaning a law enforcement officer, they're trying to say they're not real law enforcement. Are these people idiots? They're federal law enforcement. You have federal, you have state, you have local, like city, you have county. They're just a different level of law enforcement. Oh, go out and get a warrant. Well, they've got a warrant. They're working for the executive branch. They're working for President Trump. They've got a mission, whether you like it or not. I mean, this is insane. So this guy, this ICE agent, is saying, this is who you're protecting. And again, I admit, I don't think the communication from the Trump administration has been as strong on this issue. Frankly, I wish if it were not President Trump, I don't want Kristi Noem to do it. And she did a better job this weekend. By the way, Gabe, get cut number 17 ready. She did a better job of discussing what's happening, what they're actually doing. And there are some illegal immigrants who have been in the presence of some of these criminal illegal aliens. And if they're there, those people have been arrested too. So when you hear people say, oh, they're arresting, people they're arresting innocent people that aren't criminals, where they're arresting people that are associated with the criminals or hanging out with the criminals. They were going to, Home Depots and stuff like that. That stuff they've stopped. And I agree. Listen, whether you like it or not, optics matter. I want all illegal immigrants. I believe they should go home if they're lawful. and maybe they can have grace to come back if they want to come back legally. But when you're a criminal, you don't get that grace. But optics do matter. So when you're going to a Home Depot or something like that, it's going to look bad. And I told you guys it would look bad. But the bottom line is, once people start seeing it, some people can't hack it. All right. I'd rather illegal immigrants go back home. And if they are allowed to come back here legally, then so be it. Because I believe they're draining resources. Actually, I know they are for a fact. They do have higher levels or commit crimes at higher levels, despite what the left says. I had John Lott on last week to talk about it. It's just a lie. It's just a lie that they don't. And so these guys are rounding up criminal, illegal aliens that are hurting people. And you have these white liberal women, mostly, and a bunch of white liberal men too. You see some black people, but few and far between, but mostly white liberals, particularly white liberal women out there just trying to stop these guys, trying to interfere. I mean, this makes no sense whatsoever. Now, these people are getting themselves in lots of trouble. But I want you to understand. Oh, actually, we'll go to what happened in this Minneapolis St. Paul church. Gabe, let me know how much time we have, if you don't mind, por favor. But okay, so let's do this. I want you to understand. So we saw the ICE agent of apparently of Latino descent. Hey, telling them, do you understand what you're doing? You understand what we're doing? We're trying to arrest a child sex offender, and you guys are impeding on that. So these people that think they're morally superior, that think that they're doing something righteous. See, they don't go to church, right? They don't particularly worship God. So they want to find something to. Everybody's got to worship something. They've got to find. Everybody wants to be moral. Everybody wants to feel like a good person. And how do these people feel like a good person? Well, I want to protect my neighbor. I want to protect my neighbor. Your neighbor is a freaking child rapist, you moron. You want to protect that neighbor because that's who they're arresting. And they're trying, what they do, the trick is, and I shared this with you before, the trick is what the lefties do, whether that's news media or whether it's these lefties on the street. They try to clump all immigrants in together, legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. Legal immigrants, when they come to the country legally, they commit barely any crime whatsoever. They're so thankful to be called an American. They're so thankful to be here. Their crime rates are extremely low. But illegal immigrants, it's different. And so what the left does, what the mainstream media does, is they lump all those numbers together and say, see, they commit fewer crimes. And that ICE agent is saying, this is what you're protecting every day. What the Trump administration should do, in my opinion, once you catch one of these perverts, especially when they're an illegal alien, here's his picture, here's his name, here's his crime. Obviously, you can't put the picture up of the child. It's not children in all cases. One of them I saw was a DUI, like a hit and run or something to that effect. But there were plenty of cases that Bill Melugin of Fox put out last night, got it direct from ICE. It's just insane. When we get back, I got to show you. Oh, okay. We got 2 minutes. Actually, let's do this. Let's go to cut number 17. This was Kristi Noem, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, having a back and forth with Margaret Brennan, I believe, of CBS. And notice how the news isn't trying to give you the news. The news is the left. Most of media is on the left. Let's cut number 17. I'm talking too much. Por favor, Kate.
70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
It's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you guys
have
keep
detained
changing your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think work, but that is the facts, is that 70% of the people that we have detained have charges against them or have been convicted of charges, and they need to be brought to justice. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how much you guys keep lying and don't tell the public the truth. It absolutely is that these law enforcement officers are out there every day doing the work to protect the American people, and they will keep doing that because they believe in enforcing the law, which is exactly what President Trump has charged them with.
Okay. Well, our reporting is that 47%, based on your agency's own numbers, 47% have criminal convictions against them. But let's talk about the other numbers.
Okay, well, okay,
again.
stop
Absolutely. We'll
the
get
tape. Stop the tape. Did you just hear this moron? She just said 47%. Forgive me. I'm trying my best. Lord help me. I'm trying my best not to call people names. She just said 47% are convicted. Kristi Noem just said 70% are charged or convicted. So the lady at CBS just straight up lied to you. She didn't even know the difference, I guess, between being charged and convicted. One has gone through the court system entirely. One has not. Insane. All right, guys, I'm a little fired up. I'm a little fired up. This is honestly what we're witnessing is crazy. I know what I listen. What ICE is doing is admirable. I know that some of you out there may not like the tactics. I get it. I mean, I've had people say nasty stuff to me online. I don't care. That's free speech. Say what you want. This has to be done. And frankly, we're at a point where I was not for implementing the Insurrection Act initially. I am completely there now. There now. So I want to get back. I want to get back into this. Gabe, we can go right back into this if you don't mind. Let's see. There's so many good videos to choose from. It's insane. I guess I'm fortunate. Maybe fortunate. I don't know. Okay. Please subscribe to our podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Por favor. We would certainly appreciate that. And I'm just an ordinary guy that happens to love Jesus. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I despise the left, and I love this country. This country is the greatest country that God has ever given man. And for people that if you don't realize that, it's amazing. It's amazing. You look at all these people trying to tear this country down. They wouldn't even be able to do that freely were this not the United States of America. That's what makes it so crazy. And they think they're oppressed. Now, the people that are oppressed are actually in Iran. Oh, man. Anyway. All right, Gabe, we can stop slacking and get back to this, if you don't mind. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Right now, we're talking about what's happened in Minnesota, and obviously, there was big news over the weekend when former CNN analyst, commentator, political analyst, journalist, host Don Lemon showed up at City's Church inside Minneapolis, terrorizing the church along with some anti-ICE insurrectionists. Guys, remember what the left would do. You have to understand what the left does. The left uses language. Language is powerful. If you can control the language, listen to me. Some of you may or may not know this, but this is what the left does. This is what the commies do. This is part of their strategy. If you can control the language, you control the narrative. So what the left would constantly say about J6ers are they're insurrectionists. They're insurrectionists. Now, let me say this. Some J6ers acted a fool. You're talking about a few hundred out of nearly 1 million people that were there, or approximately 1 million people that were there in Washington, D.C. A few acted a fool, rioted a little bit. A lot of the videos that you saw were literally produced by Hollywood producers with music in the background to make it sound theatrical. That's why the J6 committee got rid of a lot of the evidence so that they wouldn't be in trouble for lying. And I'm not defending the ones that acted stupidly, but it wasn't an insurrection. Nobody was armed. As a matter of fact, the shaman, one of the guys that was like the biggest J6 figure that everybody was showing the picture of him when he was dressed in the horns and all that kind of stuff. Video emerged later, which cleared him after he had spent years in jail, of the police, Capitol Police, literally walking him around the Capitol, him asking if he can go inside of this room and pray and all this kind of stuff. And they allowed it to happen. And then they arrested him later. I mean, it's just totally insane. And I'm not saying that was the case with all of them. Some of them acted stupidly, and I will not defend that. But it wasn't an insurrection. Nobody used weapons. The only person that was shot was Ashley Babbitt. No officers were killed that day, contrary to popular belief. The left comes out, 9 people died. Oh my God, no, they didn't. And the officer that they claimed was hit died days later due to other injuries. That was a Trump supporter. I forget his name. And I'm not trying to make it sound like peaches and cream. It wasn't, but it wasn't an insurrection. They weren't trying to overthrow the government. They were trying to make sure that their representatives sent the basically the state certification of the votes, the electoral college votes, I believe, if I recall this correctly, back to their states to be recounted, or at least to be reconfirmed or affirmed. That's all they wanted. They went about it the wrong way, but that's what they wanted. This is an insurrection, what you're seeing in Minneapolis. When you have people that are being violent, literally beating up people, attacking ICE officers, that is an insurrection. That is violence against the government in order for them to come to your conclusion. This is insane. And so this has to be squashed. I want to go to Don Lemon has got himself in trouble, but actually, you know what? Actually, let's do this. Let's go to cut number 3, because I want you to understand who the left is, who the Democrat Party really is. Remember, all they want you to do, I want you, every time you see a leftist on TV or a leftist on radio or hear them explain, all they're going to do is tell you how they hate Trump, how Trump is doing a bad job. I want you to notice something. They can never give you a solution, because we've seen them in office and it is always a disaster. Please hearken back to your memories of the Biden administration. That presidency was a complete and utter disaster. And Biden did everything virtually that the left wanted, or his administration did. But this is who the Democrat Party is. Cut number 13, if we could go there. This is a crazy activist, I believe, from the left, if I have the right video here, Gabe. We could go to cut number 13. Number 13, I believe it is. Yeah, this is the Democrat activist Jennifer Welch and Jim Acosta. They want mass prosecutions of Trumps and Republicans for national reconciliation. Okay, so this is who the left really is. So cut number 13.
The blue tsunami means that Congress is going to haul Elon Musk, big balls, and a bunch of other people's ass in front and say, what crimes did you commit? And it's going to get really serious. And the same with Trump, because I believe, and this is just my opinion, that Trump and all of the bottom-feeding morons surrounding him, and Elon Musk and all the bottom-feeding Klingoners that surround him, I think they commit crimes every day. And I think to reconcile all of this is going to take hardcore, not integrity Democrats. Fuck you, Democrats. Fuck you for fucking over our country. We are serious about this. We are prosecuting. We're going to uncover every document, every phone call, everything you did. We will be relentless about it. And that's the mindset they've got to have, because I think the electorate is going from, we've got to get him out, but also we want accountability.
There has to be accountability. You have to have a situation where there's accountability. And I talked about this the other day with Fanone, the former MPD police officer who almost got killed on January 6th. You know, he said, and I think it's true, that it's more than just the Dems win back the Congress and the White House. We have to change this John Roberts Supreme Court decision that gave the President of the United States a blank check. No man or woman should be above the law in this country. And Donald Trump sure as shit should not be above the law in this country. And I think the Democrats have to talk about it in these terms, that, listen, if we get back in there, and I'm not saying I'm part of the Democratic Party, but I'm saying this is the way the Democrats should communicate. They should say when they're back in there, if you guys are going to cling to this idea that Donald Trump is unaccountable, it's just not going to work. And that means adding seats to the Supreme Court so that that immunity decision can be overturned, and so Donald Trump can be held accountable for his crime.
Okay. All right. So above the law, Donald Trump is above the law. I want you guys to notice something because I know there's a lot of liberals that may pay attention to this podcast too. What law? He just talked about how this decision went to the Supreme Court. The immunity decision affects all presidents going forward. It even impacted the Biden administration, which is probably why Joe Biden isn't in prison right now. I mean, these people are just ridiculous. And this lady, the laws that I believe they broke laws. Which laws? They were transparent. Elon Musk, Doge, they were literally putting stuff on X every single day, being as transparent. Which law? These people are just mad. They're angry. And that lady looks like she should have been in the movie Grinch. She looks like one of those characters. I don't know if she had a face job or whatever. Maybe I shouldn't be mean. But anyway, this is who the left is. Also, let's play. That was cut number 13. This is the Democrat Party too. Let's go to cut number 7. I believe it is, Gabe. Before we talk about the church incident, because Don Limon has got himself in a bunch of trouble. Do we have enough time? I'm sorry. Okay, let's go to cut number 7, please.
I challenge somebody to go and find a clip of a Democrat invoking violence.
Let's extinguish him for good. I will go and take Trump out tonight.
We're going to fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets.
When they go low, we're going to bury them below the Capitol. That's what we're going to do.
We take them to the mud and choke them out.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
We're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
By taking behind the gym and beat the hell out of them.
Now punch back, kick back, dunk over their heads, and win some fucking power.
Fight back, punch back, and make sure that they stay down. And you know what? Kick them when they're down, because they deserve it.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching.
We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off, and I say, bring it on.
We are not only gonna punch you back, but we are gonna knock you out.
Like we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
Well, I am here to tell you, not only are we gonna punch back, but we about to beat you down.
And goddamn it, shut down the Senate! We are at war!
When they go low, we kick.
Even in states where Donald Trump won big, that it does you any good running away from Donald Trump. I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
That's the peaceful left. That's the peaceful Democrat Party. See, you know why the left tries to focus on J6, even though J6 was primarily a few hundred people acting a fool and rioting. It's because they want you to forget the BLM riots of 2020, the Antifa riots of 2020 that did a couple billions of dollars worth of damage, dozens of people that died. They want you to forget about that. They want you to forget that they are the party of violence, and that's what we see happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Oh, they're peacefully protesting. Oh, don't forget J6. Don't forget J6. Meanwhile, you ignore what they're doing. But the truth is, they want you to ignore how corrupt they are in Minnesota with the fraud. We'll continue with this after the break. Guys, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast to all your friends and neighbors and leftists that you may not like. That'll be fine as well. But I'm going to talk about this church situation. This perhaps may be the last segment of the night. Gabe might be happy to hear that. I think this will be the last segment. But anyway, I appreciate you guys following us. Please, all things social media at Carl Jackson Show, at the Carl Jackson Show. And let's go ahead and dive back in. We could, Gabe. Yes, sir. Just one. Two. A Gmail and really. Oh, great. Oh. Okay. Okay, so welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, you know that the anti-ICE, I'm at the point now, the anti-ICE insurrectionists, that's what they are. These people are the insurrectionists. I'm at the point now where I think the Insurrection Act does need to be invoked, where the president can bypass all of these people at the state level, and he can bring in military troops to get what's happening in Minneapolis under control. These people are now literally protesting or sitting in at targets. I mean, again, interfering in law enforcement activities, trying to alert criminals, child sex predators. As the gentleman earlier pointed out, these people are violent. They're inflaming and encouraging their followers and their voters to become violent, and then they'll say that it's Donald Trump that's that or in the Republicans that are violent. Republicans aren't violent. That's the one thing they go to. That's why they wanted J6. That's why they wanted to make J6 a big deal, because Republicans are violent. Okay, so you're talking about one event. Nearly 1 million people showed up for this day. A few hundred people participated in a riot. Originally, they were charged with misdemeanors until Merrick Garland was scared to lose his job, and Joe Biden was upset, and he said, ramp it up. And so they came up with some old law where these people were labeled insurrectionists and gave them years in jail without even facing a judge. I mean, it's just utterly insane. Now, Don Lemon, if you want to see real terrorism, let's see real terrorism. This is Don Lemon. Let's go to cut number, I believe it's cut number 8. This is Don Lemon before he goes into the city's church in Minneapolis, along with some insurrectionists to terrorize the church. And guys, that's what it is. And that is the language even Republicans need to be speaking. I don't understand why we're trying to pretend as if the left are nice people and we got to sing Kumbaya. No, these people want to destroy the United States of America. It is these people that want to divide us. Cut number 8, please.
Into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground, speaking to an organization there that's gearing up for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together, diverse community. If you see this, when we first pulled up, we were like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we were like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? Saw the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up, and it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where they're going.
Okay, so just so you get it, this is Don Lemon telling you where these agitators are going. He can't tell you exactly where they're going, but he knows where they're going. He's not going to tell you exactly what they need to do, but he knows the plan. He knows the plan, and they're MAGA coded. One of them had an American flag. He happens to be an American citizen, so they're MAGA coded, CODED, because they have an American flag. That guy, wow. How he got it? Well, I was going to say how he got a job on CNN. I don't know, but I guess I do know. All right, because CNN is basically, many of them anyway, are absolutely cray cray. All right, so that's Don Lemon there in that clip. Now I want to go to clip number 3, because this is what they did to the church, city's church that they terrorized in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Cut number 3, if we could, Gabe.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly. You Renee Good! Renee Good! Love and support one another. All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit as a preacher. Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No, Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens. Hey, you can't. You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame. Out now.
Okay, is it
Out
this?
now.
Okay, all right. So we can cut this video. Okay, so basically, remember the FACE Act? This was a law that came back into play when protesters, pro-life protesters, stood out in front of abortion clinics. And if I recall the law correctly, basically you have to stand so far away from the clinic or whatever it is, from the entrance. You can't impede, you can't interfere, you can't enter into the facility. Otherwise, basically, you're antagonizing the people that are going inside of the building. So you have to stand clear. You have to stand clear. Basically, you can protest from afar or whatever, where the people don't feel threatened. Basically, I know I'm kind of butchering this, but basically, I think you get the gist of it. Okay, so you have pro-lifers that would protest outside of these abortion clinics, where they weren't standing in the way of these people that were going in, these women that were going in to kill their babies. They weren't standing in their way, but they would try to share information, try to share pamphlets. Hey, you don't have to do this. Hey, we'll pray for you, so on, etc. All right, now, so Joe Biden sent some of them to jail, including a granny, sent her to jail, claiming the FACE Act. Well, these people actually violated it because they went into a private church. And so the Southern Baptist Convention, thank God they are hot about this as well. They should be. Now, this is Don Lemon. Now, you guys saw the video of Don Lemon trying to basically saying, hey, I met with this group. They told me what they're going to do. This is the woman. It's a black woman. George Floyd riots, on, etc. She's organized then. She organized this. I'm going with them. I can't tell you exactly where we're going. Can't tell you exactly what we're doing. Paraphrasing. This is Don Lemon trying to spin his way out of it, because you know what? He found out he broke the law. Now, let me say this before we play cut number 6, Gabe. Let me say this. Guys on the right, I am sick and tired of hearing about investigations. It is time to cuff someone. It is time to cuff someone. And I don't care if it's a misdemeanor. I don't care if it's let go. What's happening in Minneapolis is totally out of control. And these people, many of them, are a bunch of useful idiots because they're trying to distract you from all of the fraud that's taking place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the left are using government funds, your taxpayer dollars, to fund their coffers. They fund these a lot of the Somalis that happen to be welfare, that money goes back into Democratic coffers. Bunch of fraud going on. That's what they want you distracted from. But Don Lemon got himself in trouble. He's trying to spin his way out of it. Cut number 6, please, Gabe.
MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true. I had no affiliation to that organization. I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling protests. Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism. They're getting the operation together. Again, this is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show. There are for this reason, it may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here. But there we go. Everybody's ready to go.
Let's do one more segment because I want to make sure that I wrap this up and close all the loose ends, basically. All right, you're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. We'll be back. All right, Gabe, let's do one last segment here. Was there anything left on that video? That was, number 6. Was there any time left on that video? Because we can play the... Or was it? Oh, really? Okay. And we played 1 minute.
MAGA administration and the fake, because they're giving some critical information here. But
okay. All right. Okay. Let's just come back in with it. I screwed that up. Actually, yeah, I'll come back in and explain, and then we'll start with it. You guys are watching live. This is what we do. All right. So wherever we left off on cut number, what cut was that? 6 or close to? Yeah, close to, wherever we left off. I'll open it up. Okay. Okay, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Again, please subscribe, like, and share this podcast. We will certainly appreciate it. The Carl Jackson Show, wherever you go to get your podcast. All things social media at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show is where you can go to find this. So before we went to the break, I was playing you this video of Don Lemon, formerly of CNN. Now he's got his own thing, podcasting, going around, kind of doing the Nick Sorter thing, but on the left. And so we're giving you the video of him. He's trying to explain his way out of a crime that he committed by going into a church that he had no business going into, violating their free speech rights, terrorizing them, terrorizing children inside of there. And now he found out it was a crime afterwards. And he's like, oh, MAGA's going crazy. Notice what he did. Notice what he did, too. And I want to go right back to this clip. MAGA's going crazy. MAGA's going crazy. That's how we started off this video. No, MAGA isn't going crazy. You went crazy because you went into a church and decided to terrorize a church and interfere in a peaceful church service. MAGA isn't going crazy, fool. You went crazy. Let's finish up with cut number 6, please, Gabe.
MAGA. It may look like MAGA, the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here. But there we go.
So he knows
everybody's ready to
doing.
go. Let's go. Okay. Thank you guys thanks for allowing me to be here.
Okay,
Thank you guys.
Okay. All right.
How are you?
Good
to see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you. Tell us why you're doing this.
So
this is Nekima Levy Armstrong. She's on the show on Friday.
Levy Armstrong, civil rights attorney, longtime activist here in the community. And, you know, we protest and do activism in all kinds of ways. This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there. And then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now.
Oh, and you're going to get a lot. So basically, Don Lemon knew everything that was going on, and he decided to do it anyway. And then he found out that he broke the law, and he tried to spin his way out of it. Just to show what a despicable person he is, let's play cut number 9. This is Don Lemon trying to basically, as it says here, pundit-splain to a pastor that the insurrectionists have a First Amendment right to shut down his worship service. What a condescending... just a mean, bitter human being. He really is. Cut number 9, please.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
One is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No, you're not a Christian. You're a moron. That's who Don Lemon is. You don't want to love on these people. No. They're breaking the law. Read Romans 13. For God's sakes, I can't stand. Oh, Jesus is just this. Jesus is just this loving God. He whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you feel happy, you're going to make yourself feel happy all the way to hell. That is complete and utter nonsense. I mean, all you have to do is read through the Bible, read from Old Testament through the New Testament. Yes, Jesus is a loving God, but also Jesus, there's a reason why you needed Jesus, right? You were saved from the wrath of God. I mean, these people are obviously biblically illiterate. Basically, what they like to do is when they think it's okay or advantageous for to use the Bible so that they feel good, that's what they do. Don Lemon isn't quoting any scripture or anything like that. It's just, I mean, just absolutely insane. And so I hope that Don Lemon is arrested. He needs to be arrested. Every single person that participated in that needs to be arrested. They need to be charged and they need to be convicted. If you're going to use the FACE Act, if that's still available, then go ahead and use it. Then go ahead and use it. I don't care if they, frankly, I don't care if they get a slap on the wrist. I want them to get a record. They need to be arrested. They need to pay the fines and all that kind of good stuff. I know it's nothing for Don Lemon because he's a multimillionaire. But honestly, this stuff needs to stop. This stuff needs to stop. It is time to put an end to this. That's why I'm saying now I'm at a point where the Insurrection Act, I'm totally okay with it being invoked for the simple reason that I think that these people this needs to come to an end. These people are not gathering peacefully. They are not peacefully protesting. They're going out, they're causing havoc, and that's exactly what they want to do. They want to cause chaos in the streets. They want to make it uncomfortable for you to believe something different than they believe. They want to make it uncomfortable for law enforcement to come into Minneapolis. You guys understand that the only reason ICE agents are out, like we have ICE agents here in Central Florida. One of our Durkee congressmen gave them away. We have them here in Central Florida. It's okay. You don't see a bunch of chaos. You don't see a bunch of protests, or you might see some protests. I haven't seen any, but you might see some protests. You would never see protests like that because they would get arrested here quick, fast, and in a hurry. But the bottom line is the only reason ICE agents are flooding the zone in Minneapolis is because the mayor and local law enforcement and the governor are not cooperating with law enforcement, are not cooperating with ICE. That's it. So ICE comes into places like Central Florida and the local law enforcement cooperate with them. Yes, we've got this illegal immigrant that committed this crime. You guys can go ahead and take them into your custody so that we can get the deportation process rolling. That's the difference. Minneapolis isn't doing that. They're letting their criminals go. So the rapist, they're letting child rapists and other hardened criminals that happen to be illegal out into the streets. And now what ICE has to do is try to hunt them down as opposed to just picking them up from the jail. And when they're hunting them down, who do you think they're going to be with? They're probably going to be chilling with other family members or friends or so on, et cetera. And if those people happen to be illegal, okay, then give me your ID. Who are you? Oh, you're illegal too. That's what's happening. They're making it hard because they want the optics. And so the optics don't look great. They don't look pretty, but this is necessary. That's why I'm saying at this point, Trump, just go ahead, invoke the Insurrection Act, get this stuff cleaned up quick, fast, and in a hurry. Invoke it so that your ICE agents can go in and arrest every single one of these criminal illegals, get it over and done with in Minneapolis and move on. Because the sad but good news is Americans have short-term memory. So you get all the criminal illegal aliens. You have a spokesperson out there talking about what illegal aliens were captured, what crimes they committed, the heinous crimes they committed. That's who Renee Good died for. That's who all these other insurrectionists are protecting while they try to impede on law enforcement activity. Make the case. Bring the calm. It already looks bad, so you might as well. So you might as well go in there, in my opinion. Man, there's just, and let me say this real quick. I read a column earlier, and I'll get into this a little later on this week. I'm going to try to get Stephen Mosier on to talk about some of the things that are happening around the globe, the craziness, whether it's Iran, Venezuela, China, and their impact on us. He's a very smart foreign policy expert. But what's happening in Iran, the killings have basically gone on. There, I am praying that these people will get relief. Guys, we do have enemies out there, whether you like it or not. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and sadly, we have NATO members that are as weak as a spaghetti, a cooked spaghetti noodle. And unfortunately, the world is trying to reshape. What President Trump has come in and done is he's made America a superpower again. And all of these nations that were working together, these globalist type nations that were working together, basically to undermine the United States and try to take us down, they haven't been able to do it, and they're unhappy about it. But in Iran, you have people that are willing to stand up. They want to be a part of, although they're not in the West. A lot of them have the Western mentality because they lived it before, and all they want is freedom. And frankly, I think that if we spread freedom to Iran, then I think that just benefits the United States of America. No, we're not going to be able to change North Korea. We can weaken China, and we are weakening China. Just what Trump is doing. Honestly, what Trump is doing in Venezuela, selling oil for the country for the first time. All these things that Trump is doing is starting to weaken China big time. So I hope that we could bring freedom to the people of Iran. And that way, obviously, the mullahs will be gone, the Ayatollah will be gone. And then instead of having to worry about Iran paying for proxies to kill Americans and Israelis, you'll just have free people that love Americans. Can't get better than that. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to the Carl Jackson Show. It has been a blast. I will be back with you on Thursday at 7 p.m. I will be posting stuff in between time on social media, so you can catch me on all things social media at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show. We'll have a podcast, I believe, going up tonight and perhaps one by tomorrow morning. These will be split. So if you want to share them, or if you could share them with your friends and family members, like, share, and subscribe. Tell them to like, share, and subscribe. That would certainly help us out, and we would certainly appreciate that. So until next time, guys, do not grow weary doing good. God bless all of you.